Okay, I think we are go. We are about to load into the game. I haven't streamed in 2 weeks. OBS, please, thank you. And we are about to get going. As we are now loading into the lobby. Short qualifying for the French Grand Prix. Who will be last to load in? It's always an interesting game. Okay, everyone's now gotten a timer to select their tyre allocation. I presume most people will go balanced. Because quality's not particularly important when there's only 10 people. Like, doing an additional one might get you a position or two, but like, really not much. Having 2 sets of mediums is kinda helpful. We'll go for the qualifying. Pretty clear weather. You'll be first out on track. No, you don't want that in qualifying. And we'll go for this stuff. So you can compare top speeds. That's not the button I want. Actually, speaking of top speeds, I haven't done this track in a while. So I don't remember what setups everyone uses, although I think it's a low wing. I remember in last year's game it was like, you ran like 10 or 11 front wing out of 11. It was a high wing track. Or at least that's how it felt like. But this game it feels like a low wing track. There's a decent amount of high speed corners, but there's also some pretty long straights. Janowski's invalidated the outlap. Not sure if that just happened there because I wasn't paying close attention because of other stuff going on. We're just coming through the final sector and we will shortly begin a lap of the circuit All Regard, which I actually quite like and I think is actually a pretty decent circuit for racing because of the long straights and all that stuff. But the AlphaTauri of Luke Janowski is beginning the lap right now, opening DRS, coming across the start-finish line. Into turn 1, is it good? Using all the curb on the inside and again as well, and all the track, which is useful for boosting your lap time as we ride on board now through turns 3, 4 and 5, making extensive use of all the track, which is the fastest way around. Climbing up through the gears and onto the first part of the Mistral straight. Koshniak has finally sorted out the internet troubles and is in. Janowski is doing 3:28, which I don't actually think is that quick for France. We'll find out when we ride aboard with other people. The AlphaTauri is on the power. Now about to come through the fast right-hander, which is a full throttle curve in the dry, so not particularly interesting. Takes a clean line through turn 11, now through turn 12, which is a very long corner, and I think it's quite satisfying because you have to pick up a late apex through the curve of turn 13 into 14 and 15. Again, long corners, and for some weird reason I am very bad at this section of the track and always lose 1/10 of a second. in that corner. But Janowski does a 32.3, which actually, in all honesty, is not that great of a lap, I think. Is Mitch on finishing a lap? Yes. Will the Ferrari be able to beat the time? No. Markowski also won't. What about Zalewski, who's invalidated? Oscar Eberson coming across the line now. What time is it? 32.7, so maybe the 32.3 was better than I thought. I'm pretty sure they were doing like 30s or 31s last season. Ivanek in the pits. Rona is starting a lap just now. So riding board the Aston Martin. Picking up a lot of understeer in turn 1, then cutting the apex of turn 2. We're going too slowly for the game to care. Hopefully and that is a proper cut there, and has the Aston Martin back. I'm not sure if this was a bit backed off. But now we'll do a top speed comparison. Opening DRS using battery as well. I'm doing 328 as well, so maybe my references for France are a bit off, or maybe all the engines have run out of horsepower, as Damien Mazza, who is new to the league, is out on inters, which is prohibited in ERO. Unlike some other leagues. Some leagues ban the use of inters on a dry track, others don't. But running very wide through the corner. But this won't be a representative lap time. Kapuzniak is on an out lap. What about Herbert? Just coming through this bit, so not that near to starting a lap. And Rona is into the pit lane. Oh gosh, I don't think I just thought there hasn't been a race briefing for France, and the pit entry at France is complicated. If there's no race briefing, the way that you take the pit entry is a bit cringe because of the positioning of safety car at line 1 and the pit lane. Basically, you can cut all of the pit entry and you're good. Markowski's on, and who's furthest along the outlap? Zalewski is there. Kapuzniak is here, which is the furthest along that anyone is on an outlap, as the Williams is now getting along the straight, getting on the power, opening the doors. The drag reduction system for normal people. It is now barreling down to turn 1. Getting more rotation than Rona did, which is always a positive. It's nice when we're driving an actual F1 car and not a boat. Although, not using all of the track like Janowski, so maybe just needing to get up to speed a bit, but picking up a little bit of sliding here, so not ideal. We'll see what wings the Williams is running, and it is quite a bit lower than everyone else. But I say quite a bit, it's only 332, so that's 4 kilometers an hour, and then getting an absolutely massive snap and overcorrecting and spinning. Who else is on the lap? It's David Hoy, who is Ivanek's closest championship rival. 54 points behind. Why is David listed as did not start on the standing spreadsheet? I did not guess it. Well, Zalewski has retired, spinning it out of turn 9, I believe. So that is really not the best, but I should really be commentating on David's lap instead of doing admin stuff. But it's a good exit out of turn 12, which was 2 turns ago, now into turn 14. taking a very nice line. I think this is going to be a quick lap, provided that the first half of the lap was this good. Now opening DRS, what lap time will it be for the Haas driver? It is a 30.3, so the lap times I was expecting people to do. I told you a 32 was slow. Markovsky is really struggling with the tyres. What's Ivanek just did a 31.9, which is at 1.6 seconds off provisional pole, but is enough for P2. And is actually a pretty comfortable P2. What am I witnessing? David seems quick. Is that 26 points in the bag already? I don't know. Maybe. Possibly. All I can say is that Rona is on a lap. I could probably say more about that. Currently got 2 concurrent viewers. I've just looked at my other screen. So say hi in the chat, I guess. The Aston Martins are fighting for the Constructors' Championship, and I actually don't know how well they're doing. And I need to tab off the game to look at my other screen. It's 3:27 on the straight. Really close to track limits, both apexes, so maximising all of the time. Although, really at this point you just want to get a banker lap in, and you don't really want to invalidate. I'm coming through the flat out right hander, keeping it nice and smooth. Now into the really long right hander, again tickling the edge of track limits. Can I hide? What? What just happened? It says I'm spectating. This is not ideal. As the lobby just farted itself. I'll try and get back in the lobby. I'm just trying to join back into the lobby right now, hopefully. This will commentate. Okay, there were 11 people earlier, but now it says 10 at the top, but there's 11 people in this. This is an uh-oh moment. Can I load back in? What? Should I restart my game? Oh wait, I haven't loaded the new thumbnail since Hungary. What? Did I forget to also load a new thumbnail in for Imola as well? That is also tragic, but I'm going to restart my game. And also maybe get a new file. Okay, has that fixed it? Yes, it has. We good. Okay, F122. Are you going to decide to work this time? Am I going to need to do a relobby after qualifying? It's the joy of it. What? That would have been said in 2019, right? Yeah. Can I get back into the lobby? I am joining session. Why is it? Okay, now OBS has loaded it. Why is it saying that there's 9 people in the lobby now, even though there's 10 people loaded in and 1 spinny wheel? It's really not going that well. Marek, if you're listening, which you might be, I am not really. Okay, I'm I'm in! Let's go! Interesting line from Yanovsky. Very interesting. Am I desynced? Or is that driver trying to return to the pits faster or do an outlap faster, which is naughty, naughty, naughty. Also banned. Second infraction I've caught, but can't be bothered to report. Skies have gotten a lot darker since I last joined, but the order's basically the same. Eberson's popped up to P3, and is in low fuel mode. But only now 7 people have set a lap time. So all you need to do to get into the top 8 is set a lap. I'm talking to you, Claudio, and Rona. Oh, yes, thank you. I assume that's Wad. She's typed oh, yes. You're listening. And me saying things funnily drives clicks, right? Yeah? Yeah? Am I right? Am I right? Question mark, question mark. Okay, Rona's now coming out of the pits and you need to actually finish this lap. And you get P8. Just some advice. Is anyone else on a lap? Now we'll put the pressure on Rona. Although to be fair, I've done a lot of laps with Rona already, but I'm having... Should I go... No, not you. Should I go Cloud? Why is David doing another lap? Ruining the tyres. Ruining this set of tyres. Like, just save them for the race, mate. And there might be a late safety car, and I don't think your pole position is under much threat right now. Like, I don't think it's under threat at all. Sort of thing. Emerson has retired in the pits, so opting to not do a final run. But again, my favourite thing, do I keep the pressure on Rona or Herbert? Should I just... Nah, flicking between the two is a bit distracting. I won't do it. For all 2 of you who are watching right now, or 3 if I look at a different part of the screen. I've only got 1 like on the stream and 11 views as well, so... You need to get those numbers up, everyone. The Aston Martin is getting some last corner heat into the tyres, which I'm not sure why, if they're already 94 Celsius on the carcass. It's already plenty warm, and tyre overheating is a minor problem here. But the Aston Martin comes through turn 1, picks up more rotation than last time, which is ideal, if I'm being honest. Will it be the same for these corners? On the edge of track limits again, so might be on the edge with getting 3-second penalties in the race. But right now it's been a clean first sector, and the sector timing line was halfway through the sector, and I don't know what the sector times are at France, which is good. Damien Mazza's done a 30.6, so maybe someone who can compete with David. But Ivanek is in a distant P3 right now, but his teammate is currently going down the long straight. Is coming through this corner, but runs wide, but again goes too slowly for the game to care. As David sets a 30.1 on the tyres, which is literally like, if I did that I would be happy. I'm a PC1 driver, so hopefully I'd be quick. Now coming out of this corner, will Rona be able to set a lap time? Yes, and it's enough for P3. What about Herbert? He was also just about to finish lap. It is P3 for Herbert, in fact. P3 for Claudio, who is actually not that far away off the battle for P2 in the championship, but David Hoy, who is leading that, is currently a bit further ahead. But Ivanek is P5 in qualifying, so not ideal, especially the gaps, and DRS is not that powerful. It's not 1.3 seconds good. And I think he'll be scratching his head as to how there's so much time lost. Here's race director. And now we're loading into the race. Will it be wet? I don't think it will be, because no one said anything about it being wet. Apparently that toe helped or something, says some guy. What? Why am I driving a car? What? Oh my goodness. What on earth is happening? I maybe messed something up. How do I turn my assists on so I can drive? This is going to be interesting. Do I like drive it out? What's the accelerate button? Hold space. What's the accelerate button? That's a turn. I might just get disqualified. Okay. Got auto gears apparently. Yes, I just need to drive this. What? Why is it giving me a car? I just need to. What's the brake button? That. And I need to. What's the game done? So I need to change camera. Driving around the keyboard is not fun. But at least I've got all the assists on. This lobby is a bit broken, but hopefully, when no one's killed themselves, all I need to do is get back into the pits without dying. Do I just cut this chicane? I honestly do not know what's happened here. You can see my brilliant keyboard driving, but Herbert, who started 3rd place, is now down to P11 despite being on the medium, so it's been a bad start for the Mercedes driver. Okay, well, you are faster than me on a keyboard. David sets a 39.3 and already has a very big gap out front. Looking at the mini-map. Right now I'm driving this car very poorly. This is an example of how not to drive. But I actually get a pretty decent apex that corner. Also, why does the car turn left a bit? Also, this is a demonstration. If there's no race briefing, you are allowed to cut the pit entry. It's that bit there on the left that you need to watch out for. I need to slow down to the speed limit, and then I need to retire in the pits. And then it will eventually put me in spectator mode. But it seems like there's been a bit of carnage that we've missed, because there's a big gap on the mini-map, and be good. Now, let's check the tyres. Back to commentating. Okay, David's on the mediums, that way. Rona is side by side with Damien Mazza through the fast corner. This is sketchy, but they seem to make it through, and they're going side by side as we switch to the off-board camera, as we get some tyre strategy thing. And now, I think I want my UI back, please. It's been a bit... Why is this retiring the pits thing? Now my car's just driven out. We'll get the telemetry and lap data on. But are there any other close battles? There's also the battle for P5 between Luke Janowski and championship leader Ivanek. I should stop pretending to be excited about things which aren't particularly exciting, but this is exciting because it's a track where you can actually overtake, and there's side-by-side action further back, and there's contact! And the Ferrari is around, and Herbert is off track, but it's up to P7, so a good recovery after that dreadful start to the race. Now, is there anything else going on? Herbert is right on the back of his teammate with better tyres as DRS gets enabled this lap. And I think it will be a simple DRS pass, as although Markovski seems to not be using any battery and gets and lets the teammate pass, who will hopefully close up to the back of Ivanek, who is also in DRS, as we can actually see AlphaTauri Aston Martin. Right now, as there's yellow flags further back, as Eberson's had a bit of a spin. And we're seeing the cars going nose to tail through the final sector, as Ivanek is hounding the back of Janowski, just waiting for DRS, or maybe for that cheeky final turn dive bomb, which we see sometimes, but opting to stay behind this lap, probably the clever choice, especially when you're already leading the championship. And you're leading by like 54 points, and if you get like this many points, even though you're losing like 16 to David, still a decent gap going into the final 3 rounds. Everson is in the pit, so maybe for a wing swap. However, Ivanek is really wanting to get a move on Janowski, as they are now heading through out of the first sector onto the long straight, and Ivanek is flicking on the battery just for a little bit and using a bit more now, opening DRS, but Janowski is also using battery, but has switched it off now, and Ivanek has gotten in front before the corner even, as they now head along the next part of the straight. Rona, however, not seeming as racy as the teammate. 7/10 back off the back of why is Rod reporting me for cutting the pit lane entry line? That is a bit BS. I was literally explaining that my interpretation is that you're allowed to do that. Because there hasn't been because the safety car line 1 is further back. Like, there, Rona just passed by safety car line 1. That is where the pit entry starts. And then, unless they say it in the race briefing that you're not allowed to cross the pit entry line, that's where I believe the pit entry starts. So I'm going to maybe counter report Wodge or something for aggravating a commentator, or whatever the offence is. I need to make one up or something. Should that be our stream activity chat? Find something that What do you mean I can't penalise you? This is getting weird. You said you are owning ERO or something, but you also said you're considering stop running ERO. So would that mean that you're going to transfer ownership to someone else, which you were talking about one time? I don't know what we're doing right now, but Zalewski is in the long-range slipstream of Mitch Snake, which is really quite weak on this game, if I'm being completely honest. We'll give it to Wojtinho, whoever that is. I'm not sure, but Zalewski seems a lot more grippy than Snake. The Snake with wing damage. Let's just check. Wing seems intact. But the Red Bull may be considering going for that dive that I've long talked about, but neither of them having favourable interactions with the curb, I think, is how I would describe it. We're now heading into turn 1. Zalewski picks up understeer plus just like Rona did in that first qualifying lap, but seems to recover it for the apex of turn 2, which is always a good thing to see. However, that has given Mitch a bit of breathing room, as they're now heading through the slow snaily bit. And the Red Bull is really pressuring the back of the Ferrari, and then Mitch spins, and there's a slight bit of contact, but didn't seem major enough to get any damage. But Mitch is spun around. Also, Herbert has cruise missiled up to the back of Janowski in the few laps since we have seen them. And he's actually having to lift through that corner, so maybe Janowski's not going particularly quick. And the Mercedes is really quite close to the back, although I detect a small amount of poor internet between the two. Oh, and they've touched. That's not optimal. Yeah, the gaps were a bit fluctuating with some like minor internet problems. But like, really, that's not ideal, and Janowski's lost like 6 seconds because of that, so Herbert needs to be more careful. And Zalewski's in the pits, but Ivanek has been able to reel in Rona, teammate. Yes, beautiful spin from Janowski. They're all like close, but not quite in DRS. And they're all probably pushing quite hard. And in terms of race pace, they're actually not that far behind David Hoy, who's only pulled 5.6 seconds in 6.5 laps on the best tyres, which is only like, when you account for the tyre gap, it's only like 2 or 3 tenths a lap, so really not too bad, although Ivanek's dropped back a bit from them. Although, if there is a well-timed safety car, David could be in a little bit of trouble, so I think if I was David, I would just like try and extend a bit in case of like a lap 15 safety car, which is really not great if you are leading on mediums and you box and then there's a safety car and everyone else gets a free pit stop and then gap gets a close up and all of that stuff. Right, yeah. But right now, he seems to just be in the settling in phase at the moment. I wanted to say minute, but I said moment. Or did I want to say moment? I was initially thinking minutes before. This is the philosophy that you only get when I commentate, Chat, you need to appreciate me more. The chat rate is down to 0, according to the YouTube analytics. I might even have to click the in-stream button if it stays like that, which would be a real shame, because... Actually, would it be a real shame? I mean, this track's produced some of the most banging co-op races for me. Not that I actually don't stream co-op or anything, but like, all of my really exciting co-op races have been at this track, like on last year's game as well. Like, it's just one that delivers in co-op for some reason. Although right now it isn't translated. Zalewski's in DRS of someone. That is the internet problem car of Kapuzniak. Yeah, internet problems are not great. It's really nothing exciting. I honestly... How is the battery full? What is that? Battery? Like, this AI is weird. Like, really weird. Although Ivanek is now finally within DRS range of Rona. What's the battery look like? They're both low. Except for David, who's been saving a bit. What about Herbert? Herbert actually gets quite quick right now. But Ivanek is now back within DRS of teammate, having started one position behind. Off the start, they're now 3 and 4 ahead of Herbert, who was ahead of them off the race start, if you remember. And the DRS just being a little aid for Ivanek, although it's not that powerful on this game. But now the Astons are making their way through this corner, and Ivanek's using a bit of battery, maybe to get within a closer slipstream range, although I wouldn't want to be in the dirty air for the final sector, so not really sure. Zalewski gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. It's not what you want, and Rona again with the weird line, and Ivanek tries to go down the inside but spins! And that will hand the position to Herbert, who is now up into P4, so recovering after that dreadful lap 1. Now coming around these corners, I don't... Will Ivanek be able to overtake Herbert at the end of this race? Maybe when they switch tyres, although actually the tyre temp seemed fine on that Aston Martin. Eberson's now gotten a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. What corner was that? It was at the... on the entry to that corner, which is a weird place to get a warning, but okay. But Janowski gets 3 seconds, so really not good for the AlphaTauri, who was up in P4 earlier. But right now this race is turning into just a little bit of a time trial. Mitch Snape, who I believe became like 2nd last season in France behind Keeler. I'm not exactly sure, but Mitch is actually only 21 points of P2, which is really not that much, but that's going to become a lot bigger if David wins this race, which is seeming quite likely at this point. Although there is always the possibility, actually no, it's France, there won't be a safety car. Is there anything going on right now? Should I talk about Ivanek? The Aston Martin driver is how many seconds off the 16? At least it's not a full pit stop. Unlike Mitch Snape, who is over a full pit stop behind David. Which is really not ideal, as some people would say. But it's better than being 2 pit stops behind. Right? Emerson's actually reeling in Zalewski. No, these have already boxed low. Especially Emerson isn't making it to the end of these tyres. Maybe Zalewski, actually probably Zalewski can make it, but the tyres won't be fun. It's just seeming like the McLaren doesn't have the rotation that Oscar would be wanting. Oh, it's a throttle sound bug again. I kind of miss those days, like, whenever someone was spectating on throttle, it goes... I'm sorry if I've just made your ears hurt, if anyone just joined the stream. Yeah, but that's like... Yeah, that sound. It's been a long time since I've heard it. Brings back the nostalgia for F1 2020. Right, yeah. But McLaren is actually closing in on Zalewski right now. Full throttle through this curve. Why have I just lost all ability to commentate? I do not know why. I miss F1 2021, where you do medium soft and there'd actually be tyre wear and interesting strategy. Do you remember those days? Do you? Anyone? Everson is... I need to find something amusing. Do we have a quiz? Maybe, I don't know. I need to make up a quiz. David's in the pits. Interesting track links from Everson. This is the first thing interesting to happen this race. It's a very long pit lane. I forgot how long of a pit lane this was. But hard tyres go on the Haas. 12 laps on the mediums and there's 15 on the hard, so they should make it quite comfortably. Will he be... Herbert's in the pits. But the Haas is ahead of Markovski pending tyre warm-up, however. And the Mercedes has up to temperature tyres, so might be able to close to within DRS and cause trouble for David, although unlikely given David's pace advantage, although those hards are really not firing up quick on the Haas. And Markovski will be within DRS range and is flicking on the battery, and I think might be going for it. David, however, has started to use the battery to defend. However, it seems like Markovski's running quite low wings. However, David seems to have it covered going into the chicane, and I don't think Markovski's going to get a good enough exit to really challenge David into the final sector, and the tyres will be warm by then. So David will be able to just pull away with the newer tyres and the superior raw pace. Although it would be interesting if these two tangled for the race. Not that I'm asking you to crash or anything, but like that would be interesting if it did happen. Although David is really quite a bit faster at this point, and Markovski picking up a little understeer there. I'm getting some wheel spin as well, unless it's just game being bugged, and drops out of DRS for the next straight, probably. Right, yeah, probably. Rona gets 3 seconds for multiple warnings. That could put Ivanek in the box seat to get position at number Trez in this race, unless it's Herbert. But that is not ideal for the Aston Martin in the battle against your teammate. I don't... Actually, these teammates aren't really battling, but... Why am I still riding with Markovski? I'm getting sleepy. But Herbert now has a 3-second time penalty. Oh, Herbert has a 3-second time penalty. That makes Ivanek's life a lot easier. IMHO. Damien Mazza is currently P1, many seconds ahead of P2. Just keeping it calm, keeping it clean. Calm and clean. Yeah, that. I'm coming out of the final corner. Driving along the straight. Next week is Brazil! Hopefully we'll have a good race there. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. We'll find out next week. Thank you. Don't go. Please stay. I need some interaction. I'm feeling lonely, chat. Although, as I said, Mazza was having a calm and quiet race. That was a very big snap, like half a second ago. My commentary is very delayed sometimes, but Markowski gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. As I say that in a calming voice, right? Well, that's not great, but the AlphaTauri seems to be driving with confidence in that car, although David is decently quick at the moment and is only like 15 seconds behind, and the pit stop's like half a minute here or something. I'm not sure if it's quicker or slower than Silverstone. Although what I will do is I'll get up the leader thing so that we can work out how much time is lost. So David right now 15.2 seconds. Mazda continues on. What about Rona or Ivanek? Will either of them opt to box? Rona stays out. Ivanek might come in. Ivanek does come in and exploiting pit entry as I suggested. So 10 seconds behind the leader before pit entry. What is it after? So I think he'll be behind Mitch, unless Mitch boxes. Ivanek will be ahead of Mitch. Why did the overtake mode flick on? I don't know, but Ivanek gets a decent pit stop. Now driving down the pit lane, Herbert sets a fast lap of a 34.4, and Ivanek is actually ahead of Mitch Snape. Did that pit stop only cost 23 seconds? Could have sworn it was more like 26 or 27, but okay then. If it's like that, but Ivanek did the exact same pit entry, so stop crying about my pit entry, okay? Right? Yeah. I still want to keep the leader thing up just to verify if it's actually only a 23-second pit stop. Because if it is, then spicy. As the AlphaTauri is taking interesting pit entries and gets a warning for that. David is 14.5 seconds behind right now, as Everson has retired on track, unfortunately, which is 4 penalty points if someone can be bothered to report. So what does a 14.5 second deficit become? Actually, Willem is still leading. But the AlphaTauri's slowly coming down the pit lane. How far behind? So it was 14.5 seconds ahead of Boy, and is now 9 seconds. It's only 23.5 seconds. What was me thinking? That was like a 27-second pit lane. Like, this is so much quicker than I remembered. Like, wow. Is there anything else happening? I'll switch back to interval now that I know that the pit lane's surprisingly cheap. Is David going to do anything? Spin, 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 spin! Rona's in the pits. How quickly is Ivanek going? Catching Kapushniak, internet broken. That is not the line, Ivanek. Are you having understeer problems or something? Although the Aston Martin gets DRS for that straight, which is useful. Well, Ivanek appear relative to his teammate. We'll find out shortly. As now coming down the pit straight, Rona is barely ahead of Ivanek, so Ivanek will probably be able to close within DRS by the end of this first sector, given the tyre warm-up, and then Ivanek is in good spot to get a good... Herbert's jumped Rona. The pit phase, which is useful for the Mercedes. Not so good if you're on Aston Martin, however. No, Herbert just breezes past Janowski, who is yet to pit. Although he's going to try and maybe go for a switchback. Yes, going for a switchback. Wrong person. They're both relatively scant on the battery. Herbert has the inside line for the corner. Will Janowski fight back? No, is the answer. Just sits back. And will probably head into the pit somewhat soon. Although Rona is closing in on Janowski's. There's a spin for Mark. That's Herbert who spun. Herbert has spun and is now right behind Ivanek. So this could be an interesting battle for a position as Damien Mazza begins to set chase to David. Although we've got 8.6 laps roughly, actually more like 8.8 laps. And 7 seconds plus a 3-second time penalty to overcome. But Rona is now right on the back of Janowski, and I think Janowski's tyres have maybe hit the so-called cliff, which exists on the scene once they hit about 60%. Rona was just behind at the DRS detection point. Even weird if Janowski got it. Although the Alpha Tauri without DRS is defenceless, and also Herbert gets past Ivanek, who did not have any battery or DRS to defend with, although Ivanek might just try and sit behind Herbert for the rest of the race within DRS. I utilise time penalties for cars ahead. That was a big yawn. No, Ivanek is really looking quite racy on those medium compound tyres. This time actually getting a reasonable line through turn 12, unlike last time I commentated on Ivanek's line through that corner. Now into the final part of the lap, and Janowski is finally into the pits. And Ivanek might get ahead or might opt to stay behind. Though DRS on this and selection on this game are very weak, so even if you're that close... I think Herbert got DRS, that's odd. It might not. I think the Mercedes got it off the car that was entering the pits, the Tauri of Alpha. Ivanek is right up on the back of Herbert, although it seems like the Mercedes is running low wings, maybe. I didn't check during qualifying. But Ivanek is not really closing in. So I think the Mercedes is running skinny on the wing to go quick on the straights and be unovertakeable, but that does compromise. They're going a bit like... I think Ivanek, that's a... You need to really use battery to get an overtake done there. So it thinks about going down the inside of Ivanek. and Ivanek was forced to leave space to avoid getting into a spin. However, they've now dropped 3 seconds behind Rona, who has a 3-second time penalty, interestingly. So I think this might not have been best for Ivanek to get involved in this fight. Although, I don't know what choice Marek had. Although getting 3 extra points I don't think matters that much. Master's got another 3 seconds. Because, like, Marek is so many points ahead in the championship. Mitch has gone for softs, which I don't get why you go for softs, like hard soft, when hard medium is just a better strategy. Like, just is a better strategy in this game. Hard soft was maybe viable last year's game, because France was one of the higher wear circuits, but the softs were absurdly fast when they were brand new, so you'd want to use softs at the end of the race. And that was also back in the days where we would have formation lap, because that actually worked. So you put somewhere on the start, on the tyres at the start of the race, and also you'd have them used from qualifying if you were in the top 10. So it would be much more optimal to save your softs for the end, where you don't put like 10% on them before you've even started the first lap. Those were the days. Back when we had interesting strategy. And the alt strat was a thing. Although Herbert is quite close to Ivanek this time around, and these two don't seem to be going as quick as Rona, so Rona might be able to hold on for P3 at this rate. Which would not be ideal for the teammates' championship, but good for your own championship. Although I think Rona's in a much tighter championship battle, and Herbert gets another 3 seconds. Actually, Rona's won the last 2 races. One at Hungary, one at Imola. Someone spun. Janowski spun at turn 1. And it seems to have gotten going again. Maybe we should set safety car to standard or increase for France. Because, like, have you ever seen a safety car come out here? And maybe also Portimao. And also Monaco, because it's a bit bugged at Monaco where it just won't come out unreduced. It will come out if you set your safety car to increase, but there's like a 1 in 5 chance if someone bins it, whereas at most tracks it's like if someone bins it there will be a safety car. But Mitch Snape on the soft compound of tyres has finally made some moves. Might even be going for fastest lap, I'm not sure though, although flicking on the battery does suggest that you do want fastest lap, and this is a pretty decent amount of battery use, so I would theorise that the Ferrari is going for fastest lap on this occasion, and seems to be really pushing quite a lot to get that extra point fast lap, and that might actually be like even more points, or like P6, given that everyone ahead has penalties. Although the soft tyres aren't that much quicker than the medium, and they wear out quite quickly, and Janowski in particular has relatively fresh tyres. Although this is likely to be fastest lap, and it is. Should we compare all the fastest laps? Why not? Here you go, the fastest lap from someone else is a 34.2, so quite a bit better. And we'll also check on the penalties, so everyone with a penalty is 6 seconds except Rona, who's 3 seconds. So Mitch is currently net P6. Plus fastest lap, so that's 9 points. Which is less than David. He was looking to secure his position in P2 a bit more this race. How's the Herbert Ivanek battle going? Wow, they're literally half a lap ahead of Mitch. Markowski gets 3 more seconds. Herbert's on the bubble of dropping out. And that Mercedes picks up some understeer. More understeer. And is out of DRS range now, although the touch point is later on as there is a spin. And I believe that is for Damien Massa, who has spun, and that basically means David's won. Clap, clap, clap. Insert sarcasm thing. But that does mean that Ivanek, in theory, after penalties, isn't that far behind the AlphaTauri. In theory, right? Yeah. Though Ivanek is out of battery and is flashing. Herbert is within DRS just about. And seems to be struggling, seeing that range, although the tyre difference between the two will continue to shrink in the advantage of Claudio Herbert. And then now making their way to the final sector, and that is a lovely corner turn 12. Now you pick up a late apex. Although it seems like Herbert really struggles with this section of corner, consistently losing a tenth or 3 to Ivanek, just like how I lose many tenths through that section every lap as well. It's a bit weird that. I wish I just got rid of it. You know, obviously gets 3 seconds for multiple warnings, so Mitch is even more guaranteed P6 now. But Herbert is, I think he might have dropped out. Yeah, he has. We go over the detection point now. And the Mercedes has not got the drag reduction system available. Although I think he's running slightly lower wings, so it's a bit faster in the straight line. Ivanek's 3.14 and Herbert's 3.19, so there is a difference. And then there's this straight, which is actually quite long. And do not get DRS here. It's basically just what is your raw wing level. Down it. Yaluski's in the pits, probably get fastest lap. Finish and you get points. Finish with fastest lap and you get 2 points. Big brain. So Herbert's now within DRS range of Ivanek. So that is not the line. That is a weird way to enter the pits. I think Herbert's going for the fastest lap. Markowski is 29 seconds behind, so I think that is the clever move from Herbert. Get that extra point if it doesn't cost you anything. Although, will that cost the position to Mitch? Let's check the penalties. 6 seconds for Herbert, which is less than Markowski and Janowski, although Markowski, again... Why are people struggling so hard with pit end? Why is everyone going into the pits? Like, what? I do not understand. I don't know why Janowski went in after Markowski went in, because you get 2 points for finishing a position high, but you only get 1 point for fastest lap. And you're competing with Herbert for fastest lap, and Herbert seems a bit quicker than him. Not sure how much, though, but Herbert looked quite quick at the start of the race, so... It's not even a guaranteed point. So I don't really get it, as Janowski gets 3 more seconds for multiple warnings. I don't get the strategy from some of these guys, if I'm being completely honest. Riding with Herbert, who is going to attempt to do the fastest lap. I might get it from Mitch, and that will make Mitch sad. Only 8 points. depressing, right? Yeah, depressing, I think, is a suitable word. Mercedes is preparing the exit out of the corner. Although, if you only have that much ERS, I wouldn't use it that early down the straight. Rona gets 3 seconds for multiple warnings, and was already behind Ivanek in penalties, so that doesn't really mean anything. Oh my gosh, David's already in sector 3, but Claudio is driving around right now. 1 second up on the Delta, so these tyres are definitely quick, and it is a purple first sector. The Mercedes driver now coming down the Nice Roll straight using most of the battery. However, because he used some before starting the lap, that means that Mercedes has less to use now. I think using it now would have been a better use of battery. So Mercedes is... I'll just dump it all here. Ronaldo gets 3 seconds off warnings. David wins the race, who cares? Damien crosses the line with 6 seconds of penalties. And then Ivanek takes the podium. P3 for Ivanek, but Herbert is currently coming through the final sector on the fastest lap attempt, which is actually something interesting that's going on. And getting on the throttle out of the corner, switching on the battery, which the Mercedes does not have very much of, and it is a 32.6, so faster than Mitch's fastest lap. Although Janowski and Markovski seem to be fighting each other on the fastest lap, which is really not good if you're going for fastest lap. I guess they're just trying to have fun. Though will that invite Zalewski into penalty range? Unlikely, I think, although they are very side-by-sidey, as Markovski's car is ghosted. And Zalewski is within I think Markovski is out of... No, there's enough fuel in the car. Oh, it's minus 0.07, not plus. And that is race over. Herbert was given driver of the day in game. Okay, who cares? I just need to get the race results and then the stream will be over and done with. David wins the race. Here you go. Also, Kapushniak gets 0 points because driver didn't drive car. A decent amount of track limits. Not that many pit stops. And I think I will end the stream there. Bye.